Hello learners, welcome to today's session. We are now beginning with block 2 of the course, that is global environmental issues, and today the topic of our discussion is population and sustainability. So before we understand about population and its relationship with sustainability, let us see what are the few common terms which are associated with population and population studies. For example, the most common word which you come across is population size. It refers to what is the number of individuals or the people who are inhabiting an area. When we say population size, it means that how many people are living in that area. That is the count of the individual heads who are inhabiting that area. Then another term which comes in population studies is population density. You very well know that it refers to the number of individuals which are living per unit area. And population density speaks a lot about the living conditions and has a great impact on the relationship of population and sustainability, because there are certain areas which are, we say, densely populated. That means there in a small area large number of people are living. Whereas on the other hand, there are places on the earth which are sparsely populated or where the population density is sparse. That means it has a long area but very few people are living in that particular region. Another thing which is important to know in population is population composition. It is actually the description of the characteristics of group of people. For example, relation to the factors such as their age, their sex, their marital status, education, livelihood, or you can say occupation. So this tells us about what is the composition of the population, whether we are talking about the age wise composition or we are talking about the sex wise composition in an area. So in most of the population studies, whatever we are undergoing, it is mostly talking about the composition related to age and sex. That is the most widely used because it tells us a lot about the type of the community, you can say. When we describe the population in a given country, in a given region on the basis of the age wise distribution or age wise composition, we can say that what is the number of the people who are adults, who are elderly, who are children in that area. Similarly, the sex wise composition of the population gives us an idea about the gender equality, and these are very common terms which are related to population. Similarly, population distribution also we widely use, which is actually the statistical classification of population on the basis of the given characteristics. That is, the population is urban, rural, or the spatial distribution of the population. So it tells us about the places which are heavily populated or which are sparsely populated, that how the population is distributed, because we generally find that in plains the population is generally more as compared to the mountainous regions, or according to the geography also the population distribution varies. Another important consideration which we most commonly use is population growth. We talk about population increase, the rise in population, population growth. What does it mean? It refers to increase in the number of the population, increase in the number of the individuals. And when we talk about population growth rate, it shows the percent change in population of an area, and it is expressed on per year basis. That is why by census we know what is the growth of the population, what is the growth rate of the population, how was the population growth rate in 1901, what was it in 2001, what was it in 2011. So it may be a decadal growth rate, that is the growth rate percentage during a decade, or it may be annual growth rate. That means the increase in the population percentage wise in a given year. So these are the common terms. Apart from it, another important consideration is sex ratio, which is commonly studied by calculating the number of females per 1000 males. In Indian context we call it. So as per 2011 census, India has a sex ratio of 943 females per 1000 males. But it is further going down and down. It is further reducing. As per 2016 studies, it was somewhere between 827 females per 1000 males. So when there is a decline in the sex ratio, it gives an understanding that the state of the women or state of the gender equality in a society. Similarly, child sex ratio, because in India, population scientists also calculate the child sex ratio for the age group between 0 to 6 years. It has a special significance because low sex ratio indicates that there is either a practice of female feticide or there is a neglect of female babies, and therefore it has got a high mortality than males. So these are some of the important data, these are some of the important, you can say, indicators about the population in an area. So when we want to study about population, we need to have an understanding about these common terms related to the population. So the worrisome part is that we know that India's population has been continuously rising after independence. It is expected to cross China in 2027, and then it will be the most populous nation in the world. And further, you must know that population growth around the world is not uniform. There are certain countries which are trying their level best to reduce the growth of the population, and there are certain countries which have very low fertility rates where the population is declining, and therefore this is a great demographic divide. It is not just in the nations but in our own country, in different states of India, we can see that we are living in a demographically divided country because there is a large disparities in the population growth rates. You look at Kerala, you look at Bihar, you look at Uttar Pradesh, you can say that there is a great disparity in the population growth rate, quality of life indicators, for example, health, education. So these are some of the important considerations which tell us that the growth of the population is not uniform across the world, across the country and across regions. And therefore, we know that how we have added 1 billion. If you look back and you see that the first billion was added in our population, it was in 1804, and it took almost 13,000 years to reach that 1 billion. But then subsequently we reached the second billion by 1927, and it was in 124 years we could reach. Then there was the addition of the third billion, fourth billion, fifth billion, sixth billion and seventh billion we added in 2011, and it just happened in 12 years. So it clearly indicates that how we are increasing, how we are doubling in different parts of the world, how the population is increasing. So to understand the population, you can say the growth of the population and how population fluctuates, it is important for us to understand about demographic transition. What is demographic transition? It tells us about the growth of population across various stages. There are different stages in the growth of the population that we have seen beginning from the pre-industrial era to present. So how it has grown, that is the model which has been given and which has been named as demographic transition model. So this model describes population change. It is not necessarily population increase, but it is the population change which has occurred over time. So population is not static, but it is a dynamic issue. It changes, sometimes it increases, and on the other hand, at sometimes it has a declining trend, and the declining trend is also worrisome. The demographic transition is based on interpretation which began in 1929 by American demographer Warren Thompson, and he observed the changes in the birth rate and death rate, because for any given region the population is a function of birth rate, death rate or migration issues. So he observed the changes in the birth rate taking place, how the birth rates and death rates are varying over several decades, and after that he gave us this model which is called as demographic transition model. So it has several stages. We talk about stage 1, and that was a stage which was before industrialization stage. It is called as high stationary stage because at this time the population was highly fluctuating. The birth rate was high, the death rate was also high. The birth rate was high because more children means more earners. There were no family planning measures available. But then death rate was high because of famines, because of diseases, because of food related issues, because of natural calamities taking place. So at that time population growth is very slow and it is also fluctuating. If you see today, over the world, there is no country as of now which is in the high stationary phase of the population, or you can say which is in the stage 1 of demographic transition, because except for the few tribes who are there in Amazon or few communities, this stage doesn't exist anymore. In 1800, US was in this stage where the birth rates and death rates both were very high and the population growth is very slow. Then came stage 2, which is also known as early expanding stage, and it was the beginning of the industrial revolution. At this time also birth rate is very high, but on the other hand the death rate started to decline. Birth rate is high because of the same factors as poverty, because of the preference of son, because of the lack of women education. But then death rate is declining because of improved medical facilities, there is improvement in farming technology, increase in food supply, better nutrition, water supply, sewage, personal hygiene, sanitation, improvement in public health system taking place. So at this time what is happening? The death rate is very low, but then birth rate is high, so it leads to increase in the population growth, very fast population at this stage. And today also you find various countries of the world are there in this stage. For example, poorest developing countries of Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bolivia, they are in this stage where the population is expanding because we have controlled the death rate, but the birth rate continues to be very high. Then we have stage 3, which is the stage of post-industrial stage, which is also known as late expanding, and at this time what is happening, the birth rate is falling down and death rate also falls down further. Birth rate is falling because there is an availability of family planning measures. People realize that it is better to have fewer children, education and health infrastructure, women empowerment. These are some of the factors which are related to decrease in birth rate. Further, in agriculture, if you see, because of mechanization of agriculture, there is less requirement of the children, so there is a reduction in the child labor, and it is also realized that it is very expensive to raise children, and therefore the birth rate continues to decline. But then death rate is also very low because of further improvement in the health conditions, increase in the status, education of women. So in spite of the factors that birth rate has declined and death rate has also continued to fall, there is an increase in population because of the population momentum. In stage 2, the people who are there in the reproductive stage, they are more at this time, so therefore population is on the increasing transition because of the population momentum. So there are several countries who are developing, and because of social and economic advances which have taken place, the population here is increasing. For example, Panama, Costa Rica, and some demographers also say that India is also in this stage of demographic transition where the birth rates have been declining in our country and death rates are also falling down, but still we say that we will be the most populous country by 2027. It is because we have more number of people in the reproductive bracket. So because of this factor, the population will continue to grow for some time and then it will decline. Then we have stage 4, which is low stationary phase. The birth rates, death rates have fallen down, birth control is widely available and there is a desire for smaller families, and total population is high, but then there is a balance of low birth rate and low death rate. Population at this time is steady. You can see Japan is in this stage. Industrialized countries like South Korea, United States, Canada, Australia, most of the European countries, they are in this stage of population where it is a steady population. Then it comes stage 5 and we say, is it the declining phase? Because there is a loss of overpopulation. There is an aging population because birth rate has fallen down further. Death rate may be low or it may increase further because of the natural calamities taking place, because of pandemics occurring, because of increase in lifestyle diseases like obesity, diabetes. So birth rates are falling below the replacement level and death rates are also falling down to a great extent. There is a declining population. The aging population is more. The shrinking population is of Germany, Italy, Russia. They come under the category of stage 5 of demographic transition. So this is the changing age structure, and likewise when you look at the different stages of the demographic transition and when you look at the India's population, we see that how the population of India has also changed over last few decades, because those under 15-year-old has decreased. It was 42% of the population in 1971, but it will be 23% by 2026. And over 60 years of age group, if you will see, it will increase further to 12% by 2026. So the working age population has increased from 53% to 64%, and therefore we say always that India is a country of young population. We have a large workforce. We have the people who are more there in the working age group. And therefore we can say that according to Economic Survey 2018-19, India will have a sharp slowdown in population growth in the next 2 decades, and also there is a decline in the fertility. Already we have reached the replacement level in many of the states of India, and in several states like Kerala, the total fertility rate is below the replacement level. So if you look at the window of opportunity, the window of growth, you can say. So in India, there will be window of opportunities different in different states. Because we have a huge country, huge population and huge variation. So because of that, what is happening is that window of opportunity, we say that it has already arrived in Kerala, Tamil Nadu. But for Bihar, in Odisha, it may take some more decades to reach that window of opportunity. So therefore this factor, studies have shown that these periods are marked by rapid economic growth. Then the bulge in the working age population which we have in our country today, it is going to last till 2055. So there is this window of opportunity that we need to explore. And because of that, there are implications, because we need massive reorientation of public infrastructure like schools. We may not need so much of schools in future. We may not need so much of infrastructure for that, because the total fertility rate will decline by 2021, and therefore we need to look at the infrastructure. We need to invest more for the elderly people. We need to have schemes for the age-old population, better health infrastructure, better medical insurance. This is required more looking into the population transition and looking into the population trends which we are observing today. So this is the demographic dividend, because the type of the population which we are going to have in the years to come, that shows that the dependency ratio will be very low. The working age population will be over 60%, but we are able to reap this demographic dividend only and only when we invest properly in health, education, livelihoods. These are the most important things. If we do not invest well in the demographic to reap the demographic dividend, it will be a demographic disaster for our country, because we will be having more number of people who are in the working age group, but there is no employment opportunities available to them. So we can say that because of this staggered fertility transition, which with the window of opportunity is opening in different time periods, and therefore we will not be able to draw a high dividend at any one point of time. That will not be possible, but there will be a moderate dividend over a long period of time. So therefore we need to think about it, that how we can make our population skilled, how we can provide them with good food, better nutrition, how we are able to invest in their education, so that when they are in the working age group, they are able to contribute positively towards the society, towards the nation. And that is the meaning of the demographic dividend, because you invest today and you will get the dividend tomorrow. So this is the window of demographic opportunity. It has already opened. It will remain so for some decades, as it has been seen that by 2055 it will be there, and we need to see how India can capitalize on this, and it will depend on how well we are able to employ the workers, and it also brings to the for the issues of quality labor force, capacity of the economy, so that we are able to harvest the potential into actual benefit. In all this, we must not forget that sustainability is linked to population, because any policies for sustainable development which do not take into consideration all these population dynamics, they are going to fail. We need to see how the population is composed, how it is distributed, how it is growing, what is the decadal growth rate, what is the you can say what is the age structure of the population. So according to sustainable development goals which have been proposed by UN, and we hope to achieve them by 2030, there are 17 goals and 169 targets. And these are based on 5 P's, and which are people, planet, prosperity, peace and partnership. So in all this, there is no specific goal on population, but the issues of population are concerned with almost all the SDGs, particularly if we talk about SDG 3, that means good health and well-being. So it makes a provision and it makes a target to see that good health and well-being is provided to all groups of population. Similarly, SDG 5 lays emphasis on gender equality. But today what we are seeing is that because of rapid population growth taking place, there are unsustainable production, consumption patterns, and these have a bearing on the sustainability and achievement of SDGs. So we can say that the population is at one end, but it has a bearing on sustainability. And when we talk about the sustainability or sustainable development, we need to consider the population dynamics. We need to understand the trends in population, how the demographic transition is working, and how well we are able to invest so that we are able to bear the fruits in future. So many demographers and environmentalists believe that by adopting a new SDG on population, we will be able to save the world by 2020 agenda. So we can say that India is proud of 3 Ds: democracy, demographic dividend and demand. So it will take lot of efforts to make demographic dividend a real contributor to India's growth story. So while concluding, we can say that population is not just a number. Population does not only talking about the figures or changes in the population taking place, but it is a human issue. Instead of taking up the top-down approach, it is better to talk about the bottom-up approach while dealing with the issues of population. demographic transition is the growth in population over time. Looking at the other countries of the world, we have seen that how demographic transition changes. In some countries, they are struggling against the growth of population, they are struggling to feed the population, they are struggling to provide them good infrastructure, but on the other hand, there are certain countries where the population is continuously declining. There are the classic examples where because of the elderly and the aging population having a major share, the working age group has been declining, and it is also a kind of a bottleneck towards economic growth. We know that India will be the most populous country by 2027 as per the predictions today. We have to see that how we are able to utilize the resources of our country, because population may not always be seen as a problem, but it is actually a human resource. It can be put into some use if you are able to invest in health, education, livelihood, skills, so that we are able to reap the benefits of demographic dividend. Learners, you must be now clear that population and sustainability are linked with each other. We cannot achieve sustainable development goals 2030 unless we are able to focus clearly on the population dynamics of the country and the world as well. Thank you.